Uh, what a tangled web we weave. Okay, so I'm just gonna plug my other channels real quick. Support those if you can. Well, this is gonna get brutal and intense. I'm gonna try to be as nice as possible. Jesus Christ, I don't even know where to begin. So let me just get the basics. So it's Chris Shelton, Mike the Scum Brown, Liz the lying pathological liar Gale, and Apostate Alex, who has a YouTube channel. He's more based in Britain, but sometimes he comes over the pond, I guess, to help out the cause. So I've done so many videos on the ex-Scientology grift. I've become a little numb to it, but every time you think we've reached rock bottom, and to be fair, Jubilee is a really bad organization and channel. I mean, it's literally billing itself as a game show. Anyway, the setup is the ex-Scientologists are going to meet the ex-Jehovah's Witnesses and what, square off in a death match? And again, I'm not even going to clip Brown, but I'm going to try to be as faithful to his words. So which it gets so tricky so fast. So essentially, and I'm going to try to be generous to both sides. Mike Brown has been accusing part of the Miscavige family of abusing his mother. We'll just leave it there because this shows how the thorny politics of these ex-IO grifters work. Now, Aaron Smith-Levin, good or bad, has one of the biggest channels on this issue, is trying to destroy the reputation of Jubilee. Now, I agree that Jubilee is not good, that Aaron's video is terrible and filled with lies and is insanely biased. So his issue is that they did not pick his propagandist for this Jubilee show. And his excuse was, "Oh, guys, you can't even pay. Oh, you can't even pay for the travels. Oh, who are you going to have? Please have them on my Church Del Mar. Please. Oh, why don't you pay for the travel? Have Laura FM. King Uranus has a broad man. I allow some dissent." Yeah, I mean, for instance, he could have Jenna Miscavige act for his propagandist. But here's the problem. Now, it's not Jenna who's guilty, obviously, but Mike Brown is accusing Jenna's parents of being guilty of all these crimes. So to put it mildly, it would be a little weird or embarrassing for Mike Brown to say, "See, it's your family. They're hurting my family." So might prove actually kind of weird. I will concede this to Aaron though. Yeah, it is strange. Like Jenna is in California, so why is he whining about travel cost? Like a San Diego, what, in Mars? Jenna can get there fairly easily. She doesn't need for her travel expenses to be paid. She makes enough money. She could pay for her own plane ticket if that's necessary. She could pay for this. So I'm guessing the real reason Jenna's not appearing here is, the Mike Brown propaganda doesn't always work with the Jenna propaganda. It does work, but you have to coordinate it just right. Or, stupid people like me will raise their hands and say, "Wait a minute, if what you're saying is true, then technically speaking, why are we listening to Jenna? Coordinate the propaganda, or else it may not work."
That's not a horror movie. That's just a documentary, and it's a highly traumatic beginning. Like she loses her parents, and this cult comes in and just naps her from beginning to end. You see her turn into very narcissistic by the end.
But let me not spare the others. But I just want to note that this is technically Jehovah's Witnesses versus ex. I mean, the whole setup is stupid. But I am glad certain ex-cultists are talking about their experience. That guy's talking about Midsommar, so that's an interesting thing. I did see Midsommar. Actually, both versions. There's an extended version. I saw both. I would not say it's true to life, but he's saying no. This was very close to what's happening. I mean, what Ari Aster was doing was a bit of an exaggeration in terms of how isolated that community is. But those dynamics in that film are unfortunately very pervasive and relevant in terms of how people are easily separated from one another, suspicions, conspiracy theories, paranoia, and it's used to control people. Now, obviously, I want to be careful. Scientology does involve a lot of death and murder. It is. It's a very ugly, bloody subject. However, not every encounter with Scientology is super lethal or dangerous. It is there. That element is there. So I want to be careful. I'm not charging Aaron Smith-Levin with being a mass murderer yet. But to put it mildly, he and his gang of terrorists, who includes Liz Gale, have done a lot to destroy people, damage people's lives, and try to get away with it and promote themselves as virtuous gatekeepers of the community. Again, I am not saying Chris Shelton or Apostate Alex are better. They have their own agenda, their own biases. I just caught Chris Shelton trying to say, yeah, that's Scientology. It's very, very wit. It just has a lot of white people. Even though Chris Shelton, in many other videos, is very anti-woke and very suspicious of Black Lives Matter. But now he's become Malcolm X for 3 seconds in front of the camera. For reasons. For Chris Shelton just became, Shelton X. So anyway. But I'm gonna concentrate on Liz Gale's grift. And again, I am not somebody who does this. I really don't. I mean, I hold grudges here and there. That's not the point. So Liz Gale did a series of videos insulting my dead mother. I am not exaggerating. I told her this several times. My mother's been dead for many years. Obviously, she did nothing to hurt or offend Liz Gale, but for whatever reason decided to keep poking the bear there. I'm not even going to get into that. I'm just stating a fact. This is the kind of woman that she is, that you bring up your dead relative, she's going to insult you. Why? Because, she's evil. So anyway, Liz chimed in saying, no, I didn't see Midsummer. I only saw parts of it. Well, I also had that burden, Liz, because I have to work several jobs, because you see, I need to make money. But Liz Gale has a husband who's paying for everything. So I'd be really interested to know why she couldn't see Midsummer. What was holding her up? Her wine festival? Her pedicure? She needs to drive the local sports car? What was the pressing task she couldn't finish Midsummer? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it's quite an existential burden for her to do laundry every week. Whereas the rest of us have to actually work for a living, she decides which porky pig to play with and going on summer vacations. Whenever she pleases, too, by the way. So, there's not a woman suffering mass extreme poverty. But anyway, I want to hear some of her sob story and mock it. So, trying to be an honest person, unlike Liz, I had to listen to a little bit of her rant and rave. So, Elron was a really bad guy because he had a lot of sex with different wives. Right. Now, for those coming in new who might be like, wait, I don't get the joke. Aaron, and again, we've lost count. I mean, really, I'm not trying to make Aaron into like this handsome Brad Pitt guy. He's not that. But this is a fact. Apparently, he declared, it wasn't mutual. He declared to his wife, we will have an open marriage. I will have sex with others. You will take that in, whatever. I'm ironic. I can do that. Okay. So he proceeded to have simultaneous affairs while still married, technically. The one affair was to a mentally disturbed woman in California, and he almost destroyed the Danny Masterson trial. Though I'm not exaggerating, that actually happened. And then he thought to end the relationship by throwing the woman into a wall. Yeah, he literally threw a woman into a wall. For the record, we have no case where Elron took a woman and threw her into a wall, but Aaron managed to do that. But it's Elron who's the problem because he's doing psychological terrorism against these women. Right, but two things, Liz. One, Aaron is definitely guilty of that. In fact, we know this to be a fact because Jenna Miscavige did a series of videos. Yes, guys, she did 3 videos saying and outlining, Aaron was very abusive. He kept yelling at me. Oh, it was really, 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 really bad. Oh, seems very Elron. But here's the difference, Liz. See, Elron did this thing called divorce. Right? He didn't simultaneously have 3 wives and was battering them at the same time. He didn't do that. No. But Aaronis wants to do better than Elron. So apparently he had simultaneously was abusing Jenna, abusing Lindsay, another woman, and abusing Julia. Now, to be fair, it could be that Lindsay and him were in a breakup period. Want to be fair to Aaron. But at one time, it is plausible that Aaron was abusing 3 women and basically taking advantage of his wife. I'm not making the wife into a hero, by the way. She has her own scumbag past. It's really bad. So Liz is moralizing about the evil of Ellen. You know what's really evil is the misogyny and the torture of these women. And growing up, I didn't know that. Wow, that's good, Liz. So when you see your friend doing the exact same thing, but actually being way worse, her plan was to, help him, help the grift, help him make more money, lie to more people, abuse more people, and when I expose that, to attack me, insult me, and accuse me of being a secret CIA OSA man, also insult the memory of my dead mother. That's Liz Gale, moralist. See, this is Liz Gale, the lying, pathological, lying psychopath, right? That's what she's going to do. Now, I'm not saying anything good about Jubilee. It is clearly just what it is. It is clown time. This is not a place to get serious information on any of these things. However, being an honest person, I will have to say this, that Chris Shelton is clearly way more qualified to speak on cults than Ms. Liz Gale. So Liz Gale is a complete mess. Ignore her. She's a moron and stupid and pretty vicious. However, all these people have their ideological agenda. And I'm sure they prepackage these things. They talk before, okay, let's keep the propaganda straight. We're not going to talk about Iranis or the crimes or Mike Rinder, blah, 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 blah. That, we don't need, the masses don't need to know that we're all criminals. But really, these are all criminal propagandists. They all have a grift. And again, I'm not going to let Shelton off the hook. He did some he tried to sell himself off as a therapist. He was no such thing. He's not a therapist. But apparently he was taking in money as a therapist, even though he wasn't a therapist. So this is all evil clown show buffoonery all the way around. But I would say Jubilee is the worst one. I mean, they are actively helping Nazis and neo-fascists promote themselves. So that's really terrible. But again, at least some of these stories do, to my knowledge, really jive with the ex-cult experience. So there is some valuable information here, but it is being buried under a ton of propaganda. Oh boy, and we're only going to get started on exposing Jubilee, Aaron, and Liz, and the others. It's a long road, guys. It's a long road.